Welcome to In the Know with Kat Bobineau. I'm here with my very special guest, Ruby Olexi. Ruby, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Kat. I am a PhD student at the University of Pennsylvania, and I am doing my thesis studying cell biology.
Okay. And so, with cell biology, what does that mean?
So cell biologists usually look at things like how things are moving within cells or tissues or things that lead to an organism's development. I'm looking in particular at how cells communicate with each other. So for all multicellular organisms, be it a plant or an animal, cells need to talk to each other. And this is important for the organism to develop and also for the organism to interact and respond to its environment. So I am looking at how cells communicate with each other, specifically in the roots of plants under agricultural stresses. So things like when soils don't have enough nutrients or when soils have heavy metal contamination, and how this changes how cells talk to each other.
All right. Well, that is a mouthful. Could you let me know or let our audience know what made you get into cellular biology?
When I was an undergraduate, I actually originally wanted to go to vet school, and I, worked at the zoo, and I loved animals. But part of my undergrad experience was I started doing research in a lab. I went to a really small state school in New Jersey, Rowan University, and I was doing research with a professor there, and I loved it. I really fell in love with doing biology research, and it was something that I honestly didn't know you could do as a job or as a profession. And so my professor encouraged me to apply to graduate school. So I did do that. And when I got into Penn, um, we have a system where we do these rotations. So you get to try different labs and different areas of biology. And this area and this kind of biological question is something that I really loved. And I'm spending 6 years figuring this stuff out.
Yes, a lot of people don't realize when you go to graduate school that could be quite a few years out of your life.
Yeah.
Um, but what's really interesting, what you said, is that you wanted to go and be a veterinarian first.
Yes.
And that's what I wanted to be when I
I
first
think
went to
that's a really
undergrad.
common thing to want.
I think anyone who has any interest in medicine, whether it's human or animal, you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to study biology. And at this point, you don't know much else about biology other than I'm going to go to vet school.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but then you learn about it and you get to experience different parts of biology. So, what kind of labs are there at UPenn that you've tried?
Yeah, so the Penn Biology Department is great because it's what's considered an umbrella program. So if you're a student in the biology department, you get to try all different kinds of things. So you can look. Some labs are more human medicine focused, where you might be working on a human disease. Some are plant labs, like the one that I'm in, and some are more mechanisms or cytoskeletal labs, or working on like tiny molecules that you can't see. There's a lot of, especially nowadays, computational science.
Oh,
So
yes.
we also have students who don't do experiments, but they do things on the other end, on the computer, or the big data type of thing. So we have all of those labs. Most of the labs here at Penn, anyway, when we work with plants, we all work with this little plant here. So I don't know if you can see it. It's a little guy.
Oh, yeah. You can see
See?
it.
So this is Arabidopsis, and
Okay.
it's used as a model for all dicots. So this like little plant is the model system that most people here work on. If you go to other universities, they might use things like maize or a bean or a crop plant like tomato.
Okay. And can you explain to us what a dicot is?
Yes, right. So so one way to classify plants would be dicot versus monocot. So di meaning two and mono meaning one. And so monocots during their development have one cotyledon. And so cotyledon is, so maybe you can see it here. So you see this little green Yeah, maybe that's not a good.
No, we can see it. We see it.
So before the true leaves emerge from a plant, they are they have this cotyledon, and it's kind of like a leaf that has nutrients for the plant to suck off of until the plant can become photosynthetic. And so some plants have two of those. So most of the plants that you think of have two, and then some have one.
Okay, and so you're using rhodopsin as a model. Could you let our audience know other dicot plants that you're modeling the rhodopsin after?
Say it again.
So you're using rhodopsin as a model, right? Uh,
Arabidopsis.
a rhabidopsin. That's what. Oh,
Arabidopsis.
you
Yeah.
see, I didn't do plant biology. So rhabidopsin is a model for what other type of dicot plants? Do you know of other, or can you tell the audience different ones that's out there that they might identify with?
Oh yeah, sure. So most flowering plants or trees are dicots. Things that are monocots are mostly things like grasses.
Mm.
So like maize, for example, is a monocot. So when you think of these kind of grassy plants, that would be kind of the division there. But if you have like roses at home, that would be a dicot.
Okay, cool. So, when you decided you're gonna go to college and learn biology, was science always a part of your life? Like, did you grow up always knowing that you wanted to work with animals and you always had a love for science?
So actually, growing up, I did always love science, but I wanted to be an astronaut for some reason.
Nice.
So when I went to college as a freshman, actually, I majored in advertising, and so
Hmm.
I did also really like that, but I feel like my whole life, my first love was science and biology. And so my junior year of college, I actually switched from advertising major to a biology major. And, I've always loved biology, and that was definitely the right move for me. Even though it took kind of an extra year, to make up those classes,
Right.
it was definitely worth it.
Okay. And let's switch lanes just a little bit. So I know you have a love for science and that's something that you're really into, but what else do you do outside of being a PhD student?
So, yeah, I like you said, people might not appreciate how long or time consuming this is. So one thing for people thinking about going into doing a PhD is that you definitely have to put those hours in. So right now it's 7 o'clock my time, and I've been here since 8, and like this is kind of an all day thing.
Wow.
You work the nights, you work the weekends, but if it's something that you really love, then that's okay. So outside of lab, I am really involved in two things. So the first is we have a group called the Penn Graduate Women in Science and Engineering, and so science is still very much a male dominated field, and so
Yes, it is.
it definitely, yeah, it definitely is. Of course, it's gotten better, especially in biology, but other fields such as engineering, for example, or physics are still really male heavy. And so we do things like outreach in the city. So we are in Philadelphia. West Philly is a community that is full of underrepresented minorities, and so we do a lot of outreach with schools in West Philadelphia, doing like workshops and labs with high school students or
Mm-hmm.
younger. And the hope there is to get young students engaged in science from a really early age, and hopefully retain them in science, particularly female students. The other thing that I am really passionate about is policy. So the American Society for Plant Biologists has a science policy committee, and we're really involved in kind of being this liaison between the plant science community and people who are policymakers. So something we do is go to Washington D.C., go to the Hill, and speak to the Pennsylvania senators and the Pennsylvania congressmen, and push kind of the priorities of the plant science community, and also be kind of a touchstone for those people. So when their constituents call and ask them about something like GMOs or climate change, we kind of have information as plant scientists about what they can tell their constituents. Um, Other than science and this all together,
Yeah.
I love to play classical piano. So that's something I've done since I was a kid. So I was like 6 years old, and I also like to do running, and sometimes our labs do little, races together, and that's a very nice like stress relief. And usually I just hang out in my yard with the cat, and our little garden, and kind of relax like that.
So, one of the things when you were saying where you are, which is West Philly,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to sing and say West Philly, born and raised, and that's I
Most
wanted.
mothers.
I know. I wanted to sing. That's probably telling my age, but yeah, I really wanted to be like, oh, Fresh Prince of Bel Air came from West Philly, so that must be like really big. Um, how long have you been in Philly? Were you born and raised in Philly?
No, so I was born in Camden, New Jersey, which is really close to Penn. So I actually still live in New Jersey. I live like 10 miles away from campus. So,
Not
so
bad.
I did move around a little bit for college, but I was born in New Jersey, and I still live really, really close to Philly in New Jersey. But Philly's great. This is a great location for the school because we have Penn, obviously being this Ivy League campus, is a little bit in a bubble. But
Mm.
right outside we have like the West Philadelphia community, and a lot of opportunities for outreach. And Camden, where I was born, is also really close to here. Yeah.
So it's safe to say that you're an East Coast person. Do you ever venture to the West or to the South?
Yeah. So I happen to live in the East Coast. I don't know if I'm like hardcore repping the East Coast. I definitely, so I've been to San Francisco a few times. I got married in San Francisco City Hall, which was really lovely. We've been to, the Alameda and Oakland, around California. I lived in Washington State for 1 year, in Washington, D.C. for a
Oh.
year, in South Carolina for a little bit, in Puerto Rico, which is where my family is from. Um, yeah, the East Coast is all right.
It's all right.
It's all right.
Did you enjoy the rain of Washington State?
Yeah, I really liked Washington State, and I liked the weather there just fine. I don't mind the rain, um, or like the coldness so much. I don't like summer so much. So the Puerto Rico weather gets to me. I don't like
Oh,
that weather.
really?
Yeah.
That's where your family's from, and you're like, nope, I'm not feeling this.
This is a huge determining factor in terms of what time of year I visit. So I won't go in the summer.
Got you. I'm not opposite. I love the summer, which is why I don't go to the East Coast in the winter.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I
I cannot do all that
spend most
snow.
of my time indoors.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I can't. I'm an outdoorsy person, so I hike in the winter out here in California, but
that's
that's
yeah.
that's not happening in Philly, in
No. So our,
Jersey.
our friend who lives in San Francisco has like her own avocado tree all
Yes,
all year, and we go there and she just plucks them and makes guacamole, which is amazing.
right. We have a lemon tree in our yard. I mean,
That's great. Yeah.
it's hard to go through the Bay Area and not find fruit growing in someone's backyard,
We
which
do
is
have some good hiking here. So Wharton State Forest, Wissahickon, is like tons of acres, and people ride their horses there and do bird watching. There's like waterfalls and everything. So there's some
oh,
outdoorsy stuff.
that sounds good. I don't think anyone's doing that in December
Probably
though
not.
or January. That's not, that doesn't seem like the type of
Probably
thing
not.
that
Yeah.
can happen there. But anyways, so where did you go for undergrad?
Yeah, I went to Rowan University. It used to be called Glassboro State College, and this is a really small state school. And that was probably like the best move I think that I've made, because they are what's called a primarily undergraduate institution. So everyone who goes there is undergrads, and so being in a lab there as an undergraduate was amazing because you are designing your own experiments, you're troubleshooting for yourself, you're reading the literature for yourself, and so you definitely have this ownership of whatever project you're involved with that you don't get in a school that has so Penn, for example, that has graduate students like myself and postdocs, which is one level higher. Because you have these different tiers of people, the undergraduates don't usually get as active a part in the
Mm-hmm.
science, and the research. So sometimes they're hired and they do things like just like keep the lab clean, washing dishes and stuff like that, which I don't think I'd be so excited about going into a career in science if that had been my experience. So
Yeah, that was part
yeah.
of my experience in undergrad, working in a lab with snakes.
Oh, okay.
I was the only female in the lab, and they would go
Hmm.
out and capture wild water snakes, and they would not let me go. They would never let me go with them, and they're like, "Nope, you can just stay in the lab." I
Oh,
was like,
really?
I like to be outside. I could put on some waders. I can catch snakes. Like that's,
Okay.
but yeah, they wasn't feeling me on that. But and then I sat in a dark room looking at pictures from an electron scanning microscope. Like I didn't even get to use the microscope. I was just
Oh,
looking at the pictures from the microscope, and I was like, "Oh, this is for the birds." I'm not feeling it.
that's not so nice. Although with the with the TEM, that's a really expensive, sophisticated
I
machine.
know it is, but I feel like I could have been like let in the room or something. Like, can I see the microscope? I
Yeah,
didn't like.
tag along or something. You make a great point though about being the only female. This is kind of my my personal soapbox, but in my department, so of all the plant labs, there's two women,
Mm,
just two of us, and I am the only Latina in the entire department, including all areas, plants and all of biology. And so that's kind of, I know that you're also really involved in this kind of outreach, and that's definitely something that it's kind of our privilege and our duty to have like the next generation of scientists see people who look like them. And
exactly. So
yeah,
that's the reason why I'm doing this show,
awesome.
is to bring out the diversity that's within STEM
Hmm.
and to show a variety of people, black, white, Latino, Indian, just whatever, like, but we're all in STEM. And there's
Yeah, love it.
women in STEM as well. Like, we're here, we're not going anywhere. Let us come through. And so that's why I'm doing this. And I thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure.
But yeah, so I know you had your little soapbox just then, but I'm gonna give you another opportunity for a soapbox. Um, if you were doing your outreach program right now in Pennsylvania and you were talking
Hmm.
to some high school students about going into STEM, what would you like to tell them?
Yeah. So I think if you think you might be interested in STEM, I'd say the first thing is to try it. So a lot of times we don't know what we like until we give it a shot. And so I say like keep an open mind and try things, and you might be surprised what you end up falling in love with and want to pursue. And the second thing is to just do it, like do it 100%. I think science is a competitive field, and if you want to do it, then you got to jump in and give it like everything that you've got. Do whatever experience you can. Every college, no matter what type of college it is, has professors doing research. They always want people who are driven and interested in science to work with them. So just jump all the way in. Yeah, and give it all you got.
give give it all you got. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna go there. But what I do want to say is as big for me, I like when I talk to kids, I always talk to them about mentorship. So, was there someone in your life that was like a good mentor for you, whether it was before college or after college, that helped guided you to this point?
That's an excellent point. So I definitely would not be here if it wasn't for one person. And that was my cell biology teacher at Rowan. So my during my undergraduate at Rowan, I had a cell biology teacher, and he saw how much I was really into like the stuff that we were learning, and he's the one that suggested to me that I might want to join a lab and do some research there. And so his is the lab that I joined, and I say I wouldn't be here without him. So my parents never went to they never finished college or anything, and I really didn't know what to do. And so he was kind of like my fairy godmother of science. And I didn't know that you could go to grad school and like get paid for it, and I didn't know that you could just get a job as a scientist like for the rest of your life. And so he was there for me every step of the way, encouraging me and also giving me information, and just kind of exposing me to all of these areas of scientific research. And so definitely find someone. find your fairy godmother, find your mentor, because they make such a huge difference.
They really do. And sometimes you don't even know who that person's going to be. Like they can
Yeah,
be in your
sure.
family friend, or someone you meet in college, a professor who helps guide you along the way. So that's a really good message that even a guy can be your fairy
Sure.
godmother.
And I would say, don't be shy. So I still am very close to my department, and I do a lot of alumni events. And my professors are always so like happy to see me and happy that I'm in graduate school, and always very proud of me. And professors kind of live for that one student who cares and wants to do extra. And so I say, don't be shy about approaching people. I've never found anyone in science to be discouraging. I found it's a supportive community. They want you to do well.
Right.
And so don't be shy about reaching out.
That's the same thing I found too in science, is that
Mm-hmm.
most of the time they just want to share their knowledge. They want to be able to say, yeah, oh, I did that. I could tell you all about it. But, you just got to ask them first. You got
Yeah.
to take that. And like for me, I was super shy in high school, super shy. But it comes to that point where you just got to take a deep breath and just be like, hey,
Just
what
do
do
it.
you
Yeah.
do? I want to do what you do. How did you get to this point? And
Yeah.
odds are, especially in science, especially in STEM, they're going to want you to do it anyway. They want to share it and they want to bring you along. And so I know it's overpowering being one of two females in probably the whole program, but I'm sure, or you can let the audience know that even though being one of two females and the only Latina, you still have a great amount of support there and people want you to succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I have a great committee. Everyone here, at, I mean, at Penn in our department is very accessible, very collaborative. It's a very nice community where you can walk into any lab and kind of get help or shoot ideas. And you're right. Everyone wants you to succeed, do well.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ruby. That's
My
probably
pleasure.
all the time. One last thing, if there's anyone you want to give a shout out to, give them a shout.
Oh no, I hadn't thought about that.
So, to the people in the back, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
All right. Thank you, Ruby.
Thanks, Kat.
All right. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's tuned in to this program today. Just a reminder that the reason for this program is to show you that there's much diversity in STEM, men and women. And if you find someone that's doing something that interests you, please give me an email at katbobino.com or go to my website, katbobino.com, and let me know what you think and if this is someone you might be interested in communicating with. I'll see if they are willing to share their information and talk to you about going into STEM. So thank you. Until next time.